The screen flickered to life, revealing not the expected $342.18, but a staggering $4,217,890.56. Maria's knees buckled as she gripped the ATM for support, her grocery list, carefully calculated to stretch her last $40 until payday, fluttering to the ground. Behind her, the man who had mockingly offered to let her check her millions stopped laughing, his expensive watch catching the afternoon light as his hand froze mid-air. That's not my account," Maria whispered, though the name on the screen was unmistakably hers. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she thought of her daughter's insulin, the eviction notice taped to their apartment door, and the disconnection warnings piling up on their kitchen table. The millionaire, Jackson Reed, according to the business card he'd carelessly handed her moments ago, stepped closer, his arrogance replaced by something darker. "I think we need to have a conversation," he said, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. "That money belongs to someone, and I have a feeling it's not you." Maria had only wanted to check if her last paycheck had cleared early. Now she stood frozen between impossible fortune and imminent danger, with a stranger whose sudden interest terrified her. The ATM beeped impatiently, asking if she wanted to make a withdrawal. One button separated her from enough money to save her daughter's life and secure their future, but at what cost? The coffee shop across the street became their neutral ground, though nothing felt neutral about Jackson's penetrating stare as Maria explained her situation: single mother, daughter with type 1 diabetes, 3 jobs barely covering the basics after her ex-husband disappeared with their savings. "I don't know where this money came from," she insisted, clutching her chipped mug. "I've never seen more than $1,000 in my account at once." Jackson's expression softened momentarily before he pulled out his phone. "My banking app shows a transfer of exactly that amount left my account this morning, a transfer I never made." Maria's blood ran cold. "You think I hacked you? I can barely use my email." The accusation hung between them until Jackson's phone rang. His face transformed as he listened, eyes widening with each passing second. When he hung up, he looked at Maria differently, not with suspicion, but with dawning realization. "That was my assistant. The money wasn't stolen from me. It was transferred from my father's estate, an estate I've been fighting to claim for 2 years. Someone wants us connected." The revelation hit like lightning. Maria's ex-husband had been Jackson's father's personal assistant before disappearing 18 months ago. The same man who had abandoned Maria and their sick child had been the executor of a contested will worth millions, and now he had resurfaced through this impossible transaction. "He's alive," Maria whispered, tears streaming down her face. "And he wants us to find him." 3 days later, Maria stood in the marble lobby of Reed Enterprises, clutching a folder containing everything she knew about her ex-husband. The security guard eyed her worn clothes suspiciously until Jackson emerged from the elevator, now treating her as a partner rather than a suspect. "My investigators found something," he said, leading her to his office with its sweeping city views. "Your husband didn't just disappear, he faked his death after embezzling millions from my father's accounts. The money in your account is just a fraction of what he took." Maria's world tilted again. The man she had mourned, whose abandonment she had somehow forgiven, was not only alive but a criminal. Why would he reach out now? Why connect us? Jackson slid a photograph across his immaculate desk, her ex-husband on a beach, tanned and smiling, with a young woman and a child. "Because he's dying," Jackson said quietly. "Terminal cancer. My sources say he has 3 months at most. I think he's trying to make amends." The photograph burned in Maria's hands. While she had worked herself to exhaustion keeping their daughter alive, he had started a new family with stolen money. Something hardened inside her. "I don't want his blood money," she said, pushing away from the desk. "But I do want justice, for my daughter, for your father, for both of us." Jackson's eyes met hers with newfound respect. "Then let's find him together." What began as an unlikely alliance transformed over the following weeks. As they traced bank transfers across continents, Maria discovered strength she never knew she possessed. Jackson, despite his wealth, revealed vulnerabilities beneath his polished exterior, particularly about his complicated relationship with his late father. Their search became a journey of mutual healing, their initial distrust evolving into something neither had anticipated. The trail led them to a private island in the Caribbean, where Maria finally confronted the man who had shattered her life. His illness had ravaged him, but his eyes still held the charm that had once captivated her. "I wanted to fix everything before I died," he explained weakly from his hospital bed, machines beeping around him. "The money was always meant for you and Lily, I just couldn't face what I'd done." His new wife stood nearby, clutching their son, her own face a mask of betrayal as she learned the truth about the man she had married. "You can't fix this," Maria said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "But you can do the right thing now. Return what you stole, make legal provisions for both your children, and spend your remaining time with honesty." Jackson stood beside her, his hand finding hers in silent support. The touch anchored her as her ex-husband nodded, tears streaming down his hollow cheeks. The resolution came swiftly after that. Jackson's legal team arranged for the stolen funds to be returned, with portions set aside in trusts for both children. Maria's daughter received the specialized medical care she desperately needed, while Maria herself discovered a talent for financial investigation that led to a position at Reed Enterprises. The money that had mysteriously appeared in her account that day at the ATM, the money that had started everything, was eventually donated to a foundation supporting families affected by diabetes. 6 months later, Maria stood on Jackson's balcony watching the sunset paint the city gold. "I never thanked you properly," she said, turning to find him closer than expected. "For believing me that day." Jackson's smile reached his eyes in a way it hadn't when they first met. "I think we saved each other," he replied, his hand finding hers again, this time with intention rather than comfort. The journey that began with a shocking balance on an ATM screen had transformed both their lives in ways neither could have imagined. Maria had found not just financial security but her own strength and purpose. Jackson had found something he'd never had despite his wealth, genuine connection and trust. Together, they had turned a moment of crisis into a foundation for something beautiful. As they stood watching the city lights emerge, Maria thought about how life's most profound changes often begin with unexpected moments, moments worth sharing, worth remembering. Like this story itself, some journeys are too meaningful to keep to yourself, deserving to be passed along to others who might need their own reminder that second chances and new beginnings can arrive in the most unexpected ways.